What's going on, everybody? You know who it is. This is Austin, and this is the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast, where we talk about real estate and we talk about lifestyle. Today's guest is only 25, but he is crushing it in the wholesaling business. Now, for those of you that don't know, and we'll discuss it later on in the episode, wholesaling is one of the strategies that investors use as they, invest in real estate, and it's a particular strategy as part of their business. A lot of investors, when they first start off, they actually start off in wholesaling so that way they can get familiar and comfortable with finding deals, which is the source of every real estate investor's business, finding deals. This individual, you'll just hear about it. So, a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. If you or anybody else that you know has benefited from listening to the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast, please get on the iTunes, leave me a rating and review. I'd greatly appreciate that as we continue to share this message. And if you happen to know anyone that can benefit by coming on to the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast, please let me know. Gal, guy, does not matter. This episode is gold, jam-packed with nuggets of information and strategies and tips that are actionable for you to hit the ground running. Without further ado, let's get into the show. Today on the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast, I'm actually very excited to have this guest on. I've been watching him for a while now. And what's interesting about this individual is only 26. If not, he's probably around 27 now, but he's a young individual and he's been able to take what he's learned, take it step by step, apply it, and he's been able to grow a massive wholesaling business, invested in real estate, and it's been interesting to watch it from afar. So I had to bring this individual on. He's a real estate entrepreneur. He's an investor. He's a wholesaler. He's the current CEO of Jersey Shore Property Solutions. He's a Jay Morrison Academy Wholesale Mastery Coach. This guy's repertoire, his resume is extensive. I can't even go into it. I'll let him do that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Issac Grace. Issac, thank you for taking the time to come on the show, brother.
Hey, how you doing, Austin? I appreciate the invite. I'm so excited to be on for you guys.
I greatly appreciate it, man. So we'll jump right up into it. Tell us how you got started, because your accolades kind of speak for yourself, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't always like that. Tell us exactly how you got started, the man behind the machine.
Yes, definitely got you. So first and foremost, just wanted to correct, I am 25 years old.
Oh, 25, excuse me. Okay.
Yes, so 25. So like you said, I appreciate it. I'm a real estate entrepreneur, primarily doing wholesaling. I've been in the wholesaling business for about 4.5 years. I got into wholesaling. I was a young adult. I was, running the streets of Ocean County, New Jersey, sort of like a lot of us. Really didn't have any direct guide or plans for my future, just living day by day. And I was on YouTube, just kind of listening to music and hanging out after a long day. And I had came across a ad that was saying 3-time felon turned real estate mogul. So it instantly grabbed my attention just because it was a similar background. Like, no, I don't have any felons, but I like the fact that it was someone that a 3-time felon turned a real estate mogul. So I didn't really know what a mogul was at the time. So it encouraged me to click onto it. And that's how I had met Jay Morrison. I watched a bunch of videos from him. I learned about credit, taught me how to get a secure credit card. I watched some lessons on, buying multifamilies to get into real estate, live in one unit, rent out the other unit, let the tenants pay down your mortgage. And I was just getting filled up with so much information. In about 3 hours, I learned more than I had knew in my entire, at this time, 21 years of living. So I was so inspired immediately that I went ahead, I signed up for the Jay Morrison Academy, and I got into residential real estate, and it taught us about wholesaling, buying and holding, buying and flipping, branding yourself, setting up your LLC, and the rest was history from there.
So you've been able to, build a pretty scalable business, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But for the individuals who may not know what wholesaling is, can you kind of tell us exactly what wholesaling is?
Gotcha, sure. So wholesaling is the ability to, we're wholesaling real estate, so the ability to position ourselves between sellers and buyers in real estate transactions. So we want to get out here and find these off-market, below-market value properties, and we're going to put together a to B contract. So that contract will be with us and the sellers. And we're going to simultaneously, once we get that property under contract at a good price, we're going to turn around and we are going to bring a buyer to the table to buy our contract from us. So let's just say that we go A to B with us and the seller at 90,000. It's still a great deal at 100. So we're going to sell our contract through an assignment contract to the buyer for $10,000.
Gotcha. So it's like you're the matchmaker. You're
yes.
the middleman. You're linking the buyer and the seller together. So you'll get a property under contract. Cause I'm wholesaling, a 9-unit building over in North currently. And, some individuals, they kind of understand what wholesaling is. And, but I also know that there's a couple of ways that you can actually, close the transaction, whether you do a double close or whether you do an assignment fee. There's various, ways that you can do it. But essentially, you're being the transaction manager, right?
Right. Absolutely. So really, and this is a very important thing, is that, guys, we got to understand that as a wholesaler, it's really just a strategy. We're real estate investors with a strategy to wholesale. So really, you're doing the same things as if you were buying a buy and hold or a buy and flip. You're just wording your contract and your strategies so that you have the option to purchase the property or sell your rights out of the contract for a fee. So you're doing the same exact thing as regular investors. We just know that we're not looking to take on all that risk, and we'll rather make an upfront dollar by bringing this great deal to the table.
Gotcha. And like a lot of people, right? And you found, a mogul and signed up for the class, and a lot of other individuals sign up for classes, not necessarily Jay Morrison, but, some local real estate guru will be selling their course or selling their strategies. And a lot of people, it kind of gets sold as wholesaling is the easiest way to just make $100,000 in real estate with no money, with minimal effort, everything like that. But we all know that it's going to take the effort to build the business. And, we're going to dive right into how you actually build that business so that way you can continue to find deals, continue to meet new buyers, continue to make profit. But right before that, I've been seeing you kind of promote, and we were just talking about it before, the Young and Wealthy tour. So can you kind of elaborate on that real quick?
Yes, King. So me and my partner, Ramel New Worlds, has came together and put together a Young and Wealthy tour. Our mission with this tour is to travel around the tri-state and Philadelphia and help the young millennials, aspiring entrepreneurs, and new business professionals become financially lit through real estate investing, leveraging credit, and then that mindset of an entrepreneur. So over the next 8 weeks, we will be going to 5 cities. We'll be in Newark, New Jersey. We're kicking it off in Brooklyn, New York. We'll be in Hartford, Connecticut. We will be in Philly, and then we will also be in Manhattan and New York. Just looking to give that game back, empower the people. We're also being supported and sponsored by the Jay Morrison Academy for this tour. So we're very excited about the tour. You can, get more information or purchase your tickets at www.youngandwealthy.com. youngandwealthythetour.com. We also have live streams or in person. So www.youngandwealthythetour.com will give you all the information on that tour. So we're super excited, looking to tell you guys about my personal life experiences that has gotten me to think like an entrepreneur and understand what true entrepreneurship is.
And that's awesome because, you're following the blueprint. You know what I mean? So, kudos to you. Shout out to you. Hope everything goes well with it. I might make an appearance. That'll be pretty interesting. And it's interesting that you mentioned how did you say it? Financially lit instead of.
Yep, financially lit. Yep.
I like it. Love it. Okay. Let's jump into this. So,
yes, sir.
A lot of people, the number one problem that individuals have with wholesaling is finding deals. How have you been able to find your deals, and how have you been able to do that consistently so that you can actually build a profitable business?
Very good question. So what I was taught from many of my mentors, but one mentor in specific, that once I finally wrapped my head around this business is, yes, real estate is the product, but we as wholesalers are in a marketing and sales business. Real estate is just a product. So we have to we have to be the best marketers in our target market to generate the leads. We got to understand that 95% of the homeowners are going to want to sell for some form of retail or put it up on the market. And that leaves us with that 5%. So we have to do mass marketing, very strategic marketing, and different channels of marketing in order to keep a nice volume of potential clients in front of us. So it comes down to your marketing.
Now, there's so many strategies, right?
Yes.
There's direct marketing. There's, you can go down to the courthouse. You can, speak with your spirit influence. You can do Facebook ads, online. Like there's so many channels that, and strategies that individuals can use. Do you have a favorite one, or, do you see, results from, top three, particular strategies? Like what are you seeing?
Gotcha. So I recommend doing direct mail, so mailing letters or postcards, bandit signs, and then cold calling. If I had to pick three, those would be the first three that I would focus on and make sure I stay consistent with them and make sure I'm doing the volume on it as well.
It's direct mail. Okay. So direct mail is not dead. You'll speak to 10, you'll talk to 10 people. 5 will say that it's not dead. 5 will say that it is dead. And we have you coming onto the show and recognizing that direct mail is not dead.
Right.
Okay. So direct mail and cold calling. And obviously with cold calling, do you use a specific list? Like I've used Cold Directory. I've used Melissa Data. I've used, List Source. There's a couple of sites that, allow you to pull lists and things like that. Do you build your list, either driving for dollars and then you try to cold call them, or do you like to pull lists?
So what I do is, for the most part, I will cold call the same list that I'm mailing to. So if I have a list of 20,000 potential leads that I'm mailing to over, 4 to 6 months, I will still at the same time skip trace that list, get phone numbers, and I will also attempt to cold call them as well. Also, if I wanted to go for a more targeted list to cold call, I would go after 55 or older absentee owners.
Gotcha. And those are individuals that are no longer occupying the home. Now, do you like in-state absentee owner where they're just not living in the home but still in the state? Or, out of state where, out of state absentee owners, individuals that are no longer living in the state and no longer living in that home, they seem to be the most motivated. Are you seeing that as well? You know, because they're not even in the same state, so managing it has now become a whole nother story.
Right. So a lot of it comes down to tracking. Like when I go through coaching with my students, I get these questions and I tell them, like, listen, a lot of it comes down to you doing it and tracking the numbers. Like, everyone's mark is going to be different. Everyone's response rates are going to be different. Like what you say, yes, out-of-state owners, I would say either or, just absentee owners, period, because it's a matter of seeing how it's working. If you do absentee owners, you're going to get a combination of in-state absentee owners and out-of-state. So it's one of them things where I always like to encourage my students to, like, pick your poison. If you feel like the out-of-state it makes you feel comfortable at least trying and testing that, focus on that. See what your response rates are. See how many quality leads are you getting per 1,000 postcards you send out. Offer them quality leads. Let's see how many offers we put on, appointments we go on, and offers we make, and what is the ratio, how many deals are we getting accepted, opposed to how many offers is it taking us to get a deal accepted. So that's how I go about it. And then if I start saying, okay, for out-of-state owners, I got a list of 5,000 out-of-state owners absentee, and I'm getting a 1 in 20 offer acceptance rate. So for every 20 offers I get, on an average, I get about a contract. So that's a national average. So that's a good number. So if I can stay within that national average of 20 offers to get a deal, I'm good. Now, if I'm testing a list and I go for 3 months and I'm seeing that I'm getting 1 in every 30, then we know that the conversion, we're paying a lot more money to get a deal done. So that may be a list that you want to minimize down or start thinking about finding another list to use. Because if we're making $10,000 on a deal, but it's costing us, let's just say $2,500 or $3,500 to get that deal, as opposed to if we can get it for every 20 offers, and that might cost us $1,500. So those are the tweaks that you're going to adjust. It's like, okay, I need to make more profit off of my deal, or make a bigger deal at that point.
And it's interesting because exactly how you're explaining it, running the metrics, tracking the analytics, everything like that, that's how you've been able to build the business. Like, that's the business mindset behind the actual job portion of it, right? The job portion is just matching the buyer and seller. But the business aspect of it is, okay, how do I grow what I'm doing in my job aspect of it? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because a lot of people get caught up, like, it's a follow the leader business. Like, there's nothing new that I'm going to tell you guys on this podcast that you haven't heard. Bandit signs, direct mail, cold calling, ringless voicemails, all of this stuff is out there for the people to know about. At some point, you got to understand the analyticals, like you just said, your numbers, your statistics, your stats, to figure out why you're not getting the results that you want to get. So it comes down to, at some point, that part there, being a business owner, sitting down weekly, looking at your numbers, making that business move. Okay, we've invested X amount of dollars in this. It's not working. Let's put that to the back burner. Let's 10X what we're doing, or let's bring in another source. And even at this point, I'm being very successful in my business, but there are some marketing things that aren't working for us. So we're eliminating them because we're tracking the numbers on them, and then we're bringing in something new that can be valuable. So it's one of them things that you got to plug and play and see what's working, what systems are running good, what's not running. Let's get that out of there. Let's put something new in there.
For someone who's, marketing in their particular area, or say if their market is, rather expensive. I mean, you can find deals anywhere, but, if their market is rather expensive, and maybe, there's a lot more opportunity in other markets, do you recommend, staying local or, with areas that or do you just happen to break into new areas because the numbers make sense?
I mean, I've never personally did any virtual wholesaling. My area, Ocean County, Monmouth County, is a suburban area. I'm not going to say it's high class. We do have some higher class neighborhoods. We are along the Jersey Shore, so we do get the waterfront opportunities, $1 million homes, lots that are pieces of land, 50 by 100 lots that sell for $300,000-400,000. So for me personally, I like to stay in a market that I have done some details, some analyticals on, and work that, because I feel like the bigger selling markets is going to give you bigger money. Like, you can make money on lower end homes, you can make big, great deals, but if I'm dealing with $1 million ARV on a property, and let's just say it's a lot or something, if I can get that under contract for, let's just say, and just throwing out any numbers, $350,000, and I can sell it for $400,000, it's $50,000 to be made on that wholesale deal. Like, my biggest wholesale deal was done in a more luxurious area.
And it's just widening the profit margin, essentially.
Right. Yeah. I think it just comes down to understanding where are the buyers at, where are the cash buyers at? And sometimes, like, it all just comes down really to the numbers. What are the hottest cash? Where are all the most cash transactions happening? And if you feel like you want to do it virtually, those are the same numbers you got to test. If you want to do virtual in a market like Houston, it's good to do that, but you got to understand that you're going to have to leverage people and trust and integrity to get these deals done, as opposed to if you can get some analyticals and some statistics in your backyard, you could be more hands-on. You could go through the process, and it's like eat your own. Whatever, pick your poison. If you are behind a computer, analytical, talking over the phone type of person, or if you want somebody like to get boots in the ground, build a team up and oversee them, then, that's the way too. So it's one of them things where, as you're picking your ideal market, don't get caught up in the hype of, these are the hottest cities to wholesale in. Like, run the numbers. See if in your area, are there enough cash transactions going on to support the fact that you can make money in here. So, for example, if I can pull a search and figure out that, okay, over the last 6 months, there's been, let's just say 200 cash transactions, 200. Let's just say I did one of them deals per month, out of them 200 at an average of $10,000 per deal. That's $60,000, and that's thinking on the small end of it. So that's how I look at it. I don't get caught up in the hype. Like, I've had people say, hey, why don't you try this market or try here or expand outside of where you're at, which is all doable. I'm sure there's money being left on the table. But for me and for my upbringing and how I've got to where I am today, I had to stay focused and eliminate the noise and focus on what I said I was going to do when I got on this road to success.
Love it. Love it. So let's talk about that, right? Like, what the typical day in the life, right? Because obviously you're doing this full time. This is your primary business. And, most individuals are waiting to get to that opportunity that where either they can build a business part time in order to be able to quit their job, or, at least hit something where, like I said, they can quit their job.
Right.
What's a typical day like for you? What's a typical day like for you?
Gotcha. So, a typical day, I like to get up. I wake up. I try to just give my thanks to God. Ask Him for the things that I need to get through the day. So, for example, God, just give me the energy to be at my best today. Give me the open, clear mind to catch the messages that I need to get ahead in my business, figure out where the loopholes are so that I can adjust them, and most importantly, influence and motivate my team to continue to aspire and grind and go hard for the cause. So I kind of start my mornings off that way, just to give myself my self-motivation, get myself pumped up and ready to go. Get over to the office. Like I said, we're booming and running, so we're very effective in marketing. So a lot of times, it's a lot of, for me personally, I'm doing a lot of follow up on past leads that we're working on, or either we put in offers already, or even I got to make offers. So most of my days is either appointments I'm going on or on-phone offers that I'm making. I do a little bit of social media posting throughout the day. I always overview with my team because I don't really answer phones. I don't answer the phones anymore. I have like a full system. I have lead managers. I have acquisition managers. I'm kind of acquisitions manager as well, but I'm working my way out of that spot. So I'm overseeing. I'm making sure that the marketing is being done on the days that it needs to be done and sent out. I'm making sure that we got at least 2 to 3 days a week where my lead manager is answering the cold calling phones. We just added another system into our business that we're working on. So I'm more of the visionary, and then I go deal with the hot leads. So I'm mainly going on appointments with people that are super motivated. We're already within that same price range, and it's just a matter of tying it down. So literally, that's what my days look like. And then outside of that is my other business, my coaching. So I'm throwing that stuff in between it. I'm starting to do podcasts like this. I'm going live on the JMA page. So this was a vision that I had before I ever got here. I asked myself, what would my perfect day look like? And I'm not talking about the luxurious cars and a vacation perfect day. I'm talking about in the office, grinding to get to where you really want to be when it's all said and done, perfect day. And that is everything I'm doing. Getting up, coming to my office, talking to my team members, making sure that they're getting their jobs done, overseeing it, encouraging it, motivating them, and most importantly, trying to make everybody laugh and smile, but at the same time handling that business. Offers, appointments, contracts.
Better questions equal a better quality of life. And when you wake up the morning and you ask yourself, how can I make this the perfect day business-wise, your brain automatically starts to formulate the answers to those questions. It's not that hard. It's just the choice of questions and what we actually say to ourselves that make all the difference.
Yes.
I love it.
People forget that talking to yourself, mapping yourself through scenarios and situations, like you got to see the dream. Like me or you, we can only motivate people. You know, you individuals on this podcast listening, you guys have to sit down. You got to slow your life down. This could be a 3-day process of mapping out what would my life look like if I can get into it. What business and what does that life look like? If you can't see that yet, then it's going to start with the educational stage. Okay, I want to do the real estate business. Let me find a mentor that I can learn the business in and out. So your perfect day can be a matter of learning for your first 2 months or 3 or 4 months. So it's always going to evolve and change, but you got to think about the smaller actions. Like most people are going to hear this and think about the big. Oh, I want to close $10,000, $20,000 deals, but you didn't even focus on getting your postcards out consistently on the days that you mapped out your marketing plan and following up on all them calls that weren't as motivated, you know, or going out on that appointment and making that offer right then and there and not just taking no for an answer. Like, we don't think about that part, but that's what makes the money. So once I was able to wrap my head around that, my thinking started changing. I started seeing myself going out on more appointments, getting to the property and putting an offer in after building rapport and then them saying no. And what was I going to say when they said no? I prepared myself before I got there. I seen it happen. I seen a seller say no. I negotiate with them and I got the deal done. So I seen all of these smaller revenue generating activities that would get me to the promised land, to the check. So, you know, that's my little game or advice of my Tim for you guys out there right now.
Love it. So what's and before we go on to the core four as we start our descent, and what's next for you? What's the future goals for you? Because I'm pretty sure you smashed a couple out of them. You've been able to build an 100K plus 6-figure business wholesaling. What's next? What's next for Issac?
So what's next for me is I just want to continue to fine tune and develop my business. I'm kind of in that rinse and repeat mode still. Like, yes, we generated over 6 figures in our company, but you know, we want to get to a point where we're in the high 6 figures so that I can bring home more money personally So I'm still in that rinse and repeat, fine tuning of my business. I'm still bringing in new team members, looking to build a staff or organization that is bigger than just wholesaling, but at the same time so that this wholesale business can be lucrative and very successful. Outside of that part, I just want to become the best mentor, the best motivator that I can be, continue to grow with the Jay Morrison Academy, continue to help all my students, learn this wholesale business, become successful at it, and make that money and fish and feed their families for a lifetime. Outside of that, and one of my biggest things is my self-development. I want to start, better articulating myself, out when I'm lecturing, I'm going on a tour. I want to do more tours, so I want to become more impactful, more powerful as I get out here in front of all the kings and queens, and I'm somebody of influence. I want to be able to make it roll off my tongue clear and smooth and be able to be understood very simple and easy. So I'm not really transitioning or going left field from where I'm going. I'm staying in that same lane, and I'm just fine-tuning everything.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. And you can feel the energy, man. So I hope the audience and those listening can feel the energy as well, because I can hear the passion behind it without a doubt.
Right.
So we'll go on to the core four. Before we wrap up, the core four is the 4 questions that I ask each and every guest on the Austin Smith Real Estate Podcast. Question number 1. What is your favorite aspect about real estate?
My favorite aspect about real estate is the value in it. What can a piece of real estate do for you, your family, and your pocket? So from many strategies, from the cash flow that you can make on it, from the quick sale that you can make on it, and then, like you said, that legacy that can be built off of owning from owning real estate.
Awesome. Question number 2, favorite business or personal development book?
My favorite personal development book would be the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell.
I might have to write that down. Run that by me one more time.
The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I might be pronouncing irrefutable not properly.
That's fine. I'll just
John C. Maxwell, yeah. YouTube that, Audible, Google, Amazon, it'll get you right to it. John C. Maxwell is a great leadership book writer, and that was one of the key things that really helped my wholesale business. Outside of just understanding what matters in your business, you got to understand how the law of navigation works, the law of the lid. You got to understand how these things work, because we're doing wholesaling, but as a CEO, you're an entrepreneur, you're a leader. You got to know how to bring people on your team and influence them and keep them motivated and understand what you need to be tapping into. So that's the leadership aspect of the business. So I love his books, and I read a couple of his other books. I'm actually reading a book, The Power of Focus, right now, by Frank Knoll. It's a pretty short, quick read that I've been reading too as well. So I'm all about that self-development, like you just asked. So yes, that's my highly recommended book.
Well, that's added on to the list. So I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get through this whole entire list, but they just keep packing up. But that's the goal. I love seeing the library grow. So that's awesome. Cool. Question number 3, fun things that you like to do in your spare time when you're not continuing to build a monster wholesaling business.
I like to coach football. I'm coaching football this year. I've kind of been taking a little bit of a back seat, kind of just taking less roles because I really want to get myself financially stable so I can really work myself out of these businesses and get my time back. So I love working with the youth, coaching football. I love traveling. I love going out, hanging out with my family, spending quality time with them. So I got a little balance of, the family time, friend time, and then, like you said, what I'm really truly inspired by is giving back to the youth.
Awesome. last but not least, Isaac, where can people find you at?
Okay, you can find me on Instagram at IKE_YMC. You can also follow my wholesale business page at JSP Solutions 1. On Facebook, you can find me at Issac Grace. That's ISSAC. And then Grace, like Amazing Grace. And then you can also find my Facebook page at Jersey Shore Property Solutions.
Awesome. Isaac, like I mentioned before, I'll say it again. I definitely want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show. I know you got a pretty hectic schedule, but I appreciate, as soon as I reached out to you, you were more than interested in doing it. And I greatly appreciate that, man. From one entrepreneur to another, keep the grind going. Thank you, man.
Okay. Thank you.
Enjoy, brother.
All right. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Nah, no problem, man. Thank you for coming on the show.
All right. Thank you, King.
All right.